Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Karen. I'm the Customer Learning Manager here at ShootProof. And today we have Stephanie of SHG Photography with us. Stephanie is coming to us from Seattle, and she is this week's Spotlight speaker. Stephanie will be telling us all about her garage portrait sessions. I'm sure you guys know all of that already because you registered for this webinar. So welcome, Stephanie. Thanks for being here with us.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited.
Awesome. So are we. We've got a ton of people registered for this. A lot of people are showing up. So I think this is a topic that a lot of people are excited to learn about. And for now, I'm going to hand it off to Stephanie, and we'll see you at the end, Stephanie.
Okay.
All right.
All right. So I'm just going to go ahead and get started here and share my screen. So first off, I just wanted to say thank you guys so much for attending this. I'm really excited about the interest in garage sessions. They're something really fun, so I'm happy to share them with you today. And I also want to say thank you to ShootProof and Karen for hosting me. So as you know, this webinar is about garage sessions. I call mine Better Than School Portraits. Oh, forgive my dog. Hopefully he's not too obnoxious today. My name is Stephanie George. I'm with SHG Photography. And if I could just get you guys for a quick minute to hop over on Instagram, I'd love for you to follow me at SHG Photo. I market these sessions a couple of times a year, so it's a great way for you guys to see how I market them, to see my portfolio. And then if you have any questions after the seminar is over and you want to follow up with me, feel free to there. So a little bit of background on me. I am an outdoor natural light lifestyle family photographer. I've been doing that for about 7 years. I also do school portrait photography and have been doing that for 5 years. And then I've been running these Better Than School Portrait mini sessions for about 4 years now. So what are Better Than School Portraits? These are school portrait style sessions, but they have a lot more personality. So they're really fun to shoot. They're not that stiff traditional school portrait that people are used to. I offer them for individual children and also for siblings. I have restricted them and not done them for families because I just really like working with individual children. And since I'm an outdoor lifestyle photographer, I tend to have families meet me there at those type of sessions. I do this in my natural light garage studio, and I do have studio there in quotes because I use that term loosely. So I'll tell you about my setup in a few slides. So why do I love these sessions, which I truly do? I love the diversification that they give me. Any photographer that has a business knows that there are slow seasons in your business. And so the great thing about these is they eliminate those slow times. You can look at your calendar, plan ahead, and do it on your own schedule when works best for you. They also feed my creative side. I'm used to working with families that have 4 to 6, 7 people in them. And there you're working more with the relationship between family members. And as anybody who's done family sessions knows, they can be kind of crazy and chaotic at times, lots of fun. But these just feed a different side of my creativity in that I get to work with kids one-on-one, really hone in on the details that make them unique and special. And they're just calmer. So I love that. They also are quite profitable. They're like mini sessions. You can stack them back to back and do a whole day of them, a whole weekend of them. And so it's a great way to get a quick cash injection into your business. And also, if you market them as something similar to school portraits, you inherently get repeat clients. So once you get a good mailing list and you get those clients on board, people sign up year after year, which is great. You don't have to work so hard to keep marketing them. And then also, I feel like I'm adding a lot of value for my clients. These are time capsules for parents. We all know that childhood is fleeting, and it's every year kids are changing. And so this is a great way to capture the details, really put all the highlight on one individual child and make them feel special. So you might be asking, how does this all work? So this is just a quick outline of what I'm going to be talking to you about today. I'll go over my equipment, where I do the sessions, what my setup is, how I set up all the equipment. My pricing, the parent communication, what I email to the parents on the week before the sessions. I also talk a little bit about how I market them and my thoughts on marketing, and then a little bit about posing. I could probably go on and on for hours about all of this. So this is, to keep it short and sweet and keep everyone's interest, I'll try to cover each topic briefly. And then, as Karen mentioned, I have a freebie at the end where you can go on my website and download my equipment guide. I do have a lot of people ask what backdrop stand I use, what background I use. So you can get all the details on that with the equipment guide. So the equipment that I do use, I have a Canon 6D. It's a camera that I've been using since I started my business. It's an older camera, but it works great. It has sharp focus as long as you have good light. Everything comes out great. So I want to emphasize to everyone that you can do this with whatever camera you use to run your business. I use a Canon 50mm 1.4. I do highly recommend the 50mm. It's a great portrait lens. It is very true to life and doesn't have distortion like a wider angle lens might. And you certainly could use an 85mm, but personally, I like to get up close to kids. I like to get that interaction with them, the engagement with them, and I feel like the 50mm is the perfect length. I have a backdrop stand and clips. I have a black backdrop. To go into that just a little bit, when I first started out, I used black felt, and it was great. I used it for several years, loved the deep black. The main problem with it was just that it would get dirty and there wasn't a great way to clean it. So I used that for a while. Then I started using a pop-up backdrop, which was just a black, kind of like those things you fold up and put in the sunshades that you put in your car. It folds up like that and then it pops up. There's pretty large ones that you can use. And my only problem with that one was that it wasn't as big as I like. So I do have a black backdrop now that I purchased on Amazon. It's listed in the equipment guide. It was inexpensive, and I just really like the size of it. It's large so that when I'm shooting siblings, I don't have to worry about them moving around, and I have plenty of backdrop space. So no extra photoshopping at the end. I also use a bounce just to bounce light back into the hair on kids. You can use a reflector that you have, and it's not always necessary, but it's just something nice to have. I actually use that pop-up backdrop. It has black on one side, white on the other side. And so I just turn the white side towards the child, and it helps just, get little highlights like this. And then a few extras that just help make session day go smoothly is a marker board. I usually just write down the child's name or the family's last name on the marker board, snap a picture of that, then start taking pictures of the child, then do the marker board again for the next child. And so that just really helps keep everything streamlined and organized. When I go to download all of my images, I can set up folders for each child really easily with their name already right there. I have some cute stickers. This is also in my equipment guide. The stickers are just some like fruits and vegetables that have eyeballs on them. And I'll just put one down on the ground where I want the kids to stand. And what I love about that is you always get a few shy children, and it's pretty easy to engage them and kind of take the pressure off of them, to have them just walk up and stand on the sticker. And I'll say something like, "Oh, have you ever stood on broccoli before?" So it always kind of loosens the mood for kids and lets them know that this is going to be fun. I also have a kneeling pad, which is like a garden pad. Since you're out in your driveway or kneeling on concrete, you can get some sore knees, so a pad is nice. I have a camera monkey, which is probably most photographers have seen these. It's a little stuffed animal that's a donut shape, and it fits on my lens. And so I use that, when you're holding a camera in front of your face, the children can't see your face any longer. And so you get a lot of like shifty eyes, kids looking around. And so this just gives them somewhere to focus. And then lastly, I have a noisemaker and a puppet. So admittedly, my noisemaker is a fart machine. So I'll let you guys decide at your own discretion if that's something that you want to use and something that will resonate with your clients. But when you have little kids, puppets and squeaky toys can be great to loosen the mood. But as you start getting into those preteen age children, the fart machine seems to really get those giggles coming out. I don't use that for schools, but you can just decide if that's appropriate for your business. Okay, so let's get in a little bit more into the nitty gritty here. Where do I do these sessions? Now, I feel like this is something that has been a roadblock for photographers. It's something that they let be a roadblock. And I just want to encourage you to kind of open your mind and think about all the possibilities, because there really are a lot of places that you can do these sessions. So this first image here is me in my garage this past fall. People have asked me, how does it work having clients come to your garage? I'm afraid that it won't look professional. And what I say to that is, if you have a strong portfolio, if you market correctly, and you're proud of your product, when parents see the pictures at the end, they really don't care where you were when you took the pictures. So your portfolio and your final product are the most important thing. So here's my garage. You can see I have some shelving, coolers, boxes. I try to keep it looking fairly organized, but clearly it's my garage and it's never been a problem. So when you're setting up these type of sessions, what's so great about a garage is there's covering overhead. If you're an outdoor natural light photographer, you know that the best times to hold family sessions are right after sunrise and right before sunset. But when you're holding mini sessions and you want to do a lot of them back to back, you don't want to have to worry about that direct overhead sun putting shadows under the eyes or harsh lighting. So having a garage or an overhead covering is ideal. And then you get lots of beautiful front light coming in through the garage door. So then here's just quickly a couple of other options. This is me at a school. You can see that if you have one large window and you have the child standing pretty close to the window, that works great. I do probably 120 kids in this room right here with no problem. This is another school that I work at, and this would be similar to like your porch. So this just shows that if you have a nice covering over a porch or a patio, you could use that setup. And then I've also, this is not me, but I have heard of people using a white tent. So that's just another suggestion. With permission from Mary Vance of Mary Vance Photography, she let me use this image to show you guys that she just purchased a large white tent. It kept her out of some drizzly rain in Seattle, and she said it just worked like a nice big light softbox. So that's also an option. And then also you can think about areas in the community that maybe you could do a pop-up or that you could partner with a company. This was at a preschool that's at a church. And so if you're a church member and could possibly use a patio that they have, you could do it at a library or a community center. So just be open-minded. Think about who you could work with and who you can partner with to find a great location. Okay, so the setup. So this is just an overhead illustration of my garage. I set my backdrop at a 30 to 45 degree angle. And what that does is you get that frontal flat light. However, it adds a little bit of shadowing on the corner where the child's face is, facing more into the garage or away from the light. I like having just a little bit of depth and dimension on the child's face. It just adds interest. And depth and dimension is always good. Then you have your reflector or bounce. This is definitely not required. Just test it out for yourself. Test out your lighting and see what you like. This is just a bonus. So a lot of times I don't need it at all, but what I have, like I said, is the large pop-up background, and it has white on the opposite side. So it's not a strong reflector, but it's great to have on hand. Just to bounce a little bit of additional light on the shadows if you need that, to bring some dimension into the hair. And also if you do this at some other location, you might get there and see that, like I've shot at a school that had yellow walls on the outside of the building, and you don't want that yellow casting onto the child's face. So the large pop-up is a great way to block color cast. If you're having a lot of sun coming in that day, it's also, it's just great to have on hand. Then also you just want to think about of course, only having one light source. So the way to look at light source is by looking at the catch lights in the eyes. You just want one set of catch lights in the eyes. So in my garage, I actually have a window on this side, and I just block the whole thing off so that I'm just getting that frontal light coming in. And another thing to watch for, anyone who's used to doing in-home sessions already knows this, is you don't want any overhead lights on. Overhead lights add shadows underneath the eyes, and can also put like a yellow cast in the hair, which you don't want. So I have sensors on my garage lights. I just get black construction paper and cover up those lights, and then I don't have to worry about it all day. And then finally, oh, got ahead of myself there. Finally, I like to really make sure that the child is separated from the background. I don't like them completely absorbed into the black. And so if you have kids with dark hair, this can happen where the hair just completely blends into the background and you just kind of have that floating head look. So what I do is in post, I try to make sure, that you expose properly, you get everything right in camera, you use the bounce, all of that. But then in post, I also lift the shadow some, and that just gives you a little bit more depth in the hair there. Okay, sessions and pricing. So this is a hot topic that could probably be discussed all day long. And what I want to say is there's probably hundreds of different ways that you can price in your business, just like there's hundreds of different ways that you can run a business. And so I'm just going to let you know what I've done and what works for me. And please do what works best for you. I think that you could do in-person sales with this if you wanted to. Many sessions will just sell a few digitals and then have add-ons at the end. So it's whatever however you're used to running your business and what you're comfortable with. For me, I was doing a lot of school sessions, and I had families and parents that wanted the siblings photographed that didn't go to that school. So they were asking me to do the private sessions. I also had friends and family who didn't go to the schools that I worked with. And so that's what prompted me to start doing these sessions in the first place. And the first time I did it was in the fall, and every family photographer knows that fall is your crazy busy season. So I wanted it to be really simple and straightforward. And I also wanted to price it in a similar way that I do my own family sessions, which is all inclusive. So I just have the price up front. I sell digitals only, and I didn't want to worry about having to order products, deliver products. So I just wanted to keep it as simple as possible. That's just what worked best for me. So I have the clients pay in full upfront. The reason that I do this is because many sessions, if people are only paying a little bit, they may think they don't need to show up or that they can reschedule. And what makes many sessions so profitable is having everyone come back to back and not having to do it on multiple days. I do usually try to do it over like a 2-day weekend just to give people a little bit of choice. But once someone is signed up for a session, I want them to show up. So I have them pay in full up front. I give digitals only at this time. I give them 15 to 20 unique images in color and in black and white. The sessions are about 5 minutes per child. So if you have a single child, it's 1 5-minute block. If you have 2 children, it would typically be a 15-minute block if they want each child photographed individually and then photographed together. And I do have an add-on for additional children. So 2 siblings is a 15-minute slot for $2.99. And then I do also have families who only want the sibling images, and I'm totally fine with that. So then I also just sell 1 slot there. I can do about 34 children in about 4.5 hours if you're doing 5 minutes per child with the siblings sessions mixed in. Many people who do school photography work a lot faster and can probably do even shorter than 5 minutes. But I feel like because these are mini sessions, it's not high volume like schools. I want to take a little bit more time with each child, and it's very easy. I probably get about 50 images of a child in 5 minutes, and then I can cull it down to my favorite 15 or 20. And in that time, you can make about $5,000. So I do sometimes photograph more, do it over 2 days. I think in the fall last year, I made $10,000 over 2 days. So lots of options there. Think about what works for you. Don't stress about trying to do exactly what I do. Okay, so setting clear expectations. This is a really big one for me. Anyone who runs mini sessions, as I said, you want your clients to show up on time, you want them to take it seriously, and you don't want them to feel like they can just call you or email you and say, hey, can I do this on another weekend? So I believe that clear communication up front, setting the expectations, gets everybody on board and just understanding what's expected, and it makes you look more professional. So some of the things that I tell parents in the email is that it's very important that they're not late. I explain I'm doing 5-minute sessions back to back, and it's important not to be late and that there are no refunds. I say this just to get people to take it seriously. However, probably in the 4 years that I've done it, I think I've had 2 people mess up. One person came late, they thought their slot was at a different time, and then someone else just completely forgot. And so I was able to call them that day and just get them in at the end of the day. If you're just shooting for 4 hours or so, you're not so worried about, the sunlight. You can fit them in at the end of the day. If you do it over 2 days, you can also reschedule them the next day. But if you're setting that clear communication up front, this just very, very rarely happens. So I ask them to be at least 5 minutes early. And I also explain that they need to be responsible for cleaning their kids' faces, for brushing their hair, and all of that. What I find happens is, moms are really excited about this. Parents are excited about it. They get their kids' outfit picked out the day before or 2 days before. And because they're not in the family pictures themselves, they're pretty relaxed. So they drive to the session, they give their kid a snack on the way in the car, and when they show up, they have crumbs around their mouth, they have little eye boogers in their eyes, their teeth may have some food in them. So I just explained to parents, these are the things that I want them to look for ahead of the session. And then certainly I also, right before taking the child's image, kind of give them a quick look over and make sure that everything's all clean. There's been several times when I've let something small go, like a crumb, or you just feel like you don't want to get right in that kid's face. But I always regret it after the fact. When you're editing 20 images, you do not want to have to be cloning out that little thing in their eye in every single picture. So something to definitely think about and to communicate to parents. I also tell parents and siblings to wait around the corner. So my garage is facing one way and I have a kind of a side yard in my front yard. And I ask parents to stand around the corner there so that the child being photographed cannot see their parent or their siblings. You can also just have parents wait in the car until their time slot comes up. The reason that I do this is because parents, number one, they love to watch, and I really don't blame them. However, they'll stand behind my shoulder, and when I'm asking the child questions, they will correct them or they will answer for them. And I really don't care what the kid's answer is or, how proper of an answer they give me. The point of asking the questions is to engage the child, to get some emotion in their face, to get them to trust me and to enjoy the process. And if a parent is standing behind you, it always distracts from that. I also like to have siblings wait around the corners because I have a set of questions and jokes that I use, and I don't want the other sibling to hear everything before their time slot. And then finally, you can have a product display if you like. I don't do this, like I said, because I don't sell products, but I do have canvases of my own children in this format. And so you could certainly sell canvases. You could sell the little mini accordion albums, prints. So you could have a table set up with wipies, a mirror so that older kids can check their own faces, and products if that's something that you're interested in doing. Okay, how's everybody doing? I think we're over halfway through now, so hopefully I'm keeping everyone's interest here. The next big topic is marketing. I truly believe in these sessions. I believe that even though they're not the traditional portrait, because they do have a lot more personality, these type of images are timeless. If you really think about it, This is something that J.C. Penney, Olin Mills, there were a lot of brands 20 years ago, even Glamour Shots were doing something similar, right? Just focusing on the one person. So these really are classic images that people want. So you just need to believe in the product yourself. And I feel like the biggest obstacle for photographers is the marketing. I do see that photographers will get really excited about it. They will say they're going to offer sessions, and maybe 5 days, 3 days before their pop-up, they put it out online one time and maybe don't get a lot of interest or people showing up, and they get discouraged. So what I have to say to that is marketing people will say clients need to see something, or potential clients need to see something 7 to 8 times before they might decide to purchase or get on board with a product. So don't get discouraged. You really have to warm up people, let them familiarize themselves with this type of session. And I'll get it on the next slide into some of the things that you can talk to people about when you're marketing them. But you have to know that if someone sees this for the first time, they may think that it's going to be that stiff traditional picture. They may think that they're only going to get one pose. They may not realize that siblings are part of the session. So you really have to do a good job of explaining all the benefits and how the sessions really work to warm them up, familiarize them with your offering, and then repeat, repeat, repeat. Don't feel bad to keep marketing it. So first off, you need to build your portfolio. You can do this through model calls. You can use your own kids, obviously. You can reach out to friends, neighbors, and just practice. Practice the lighting, practice at different times of the day to see how, if the sun changes for you in your garage. Also practice on different skin tones. Practice with different ages. Every age acts differently, and every child acts differently. So it's great to just, be ready for it and familiarize yourself with all the different variables that might come up. So build your strong portfolio and then start marketing. As I said, warm up your clients and repeat the marketing. Social media, Instagram, Facebook, Instagram stories. You guys are all familiar with it. You can also tap into your mailing list. I do believe that people who do mini sessions say that you should have your offering for your mini session be something completely different than your full sessions, so that people don't flock to your mini sessions and then never book your full sessions. So for me, this is very different than my family sessions. My family sessions are outdoor. They're an hour long. They include the whole family. This is the black background, just the children, and very short and sweet sessions. So you can certainly tap into your mailing list, and people will potentially purchase both without a problem. And then finally, you can also tap into, if you work with schools, getting school connections. That's actually how I first started building my mailing list for these sessions. As I think I mentioned already, I had families who maybe had one child at the school I was working with, but then they wanted their other children to be photographed in the same manner. Or I had friends who wanted this and didn't attend a school that I worked with. So what I do is when I release a gallery at a school, I ask people to sign up for my mailing list there. I say something like, is this your last year at XYZ preschool? Don't worry, I host personal pop-up private sessions. Sign up so that you will know when I'm running those sessions. So as with all sessions, just think about marketing from all different angles. Make sure that you're communicating everything clearly, and repeat it often. Let me get a quick drink here. All right. So when you're marketing, it's important to think about the value that you're offering parents. Think about their pain points and think about what benefits you can offer. And this will help you think of multiple different ways to market to parents, how to speak about it in different ways, so that you don't feel like you're always just repeating yourself. Hey, I have this day and this is what I'm offering. Instead, talk about the different pain points that parents have and how these sessions can benefit them. So obviously, kids are parents' greatest treasure, and this is kind of a yearly time capsule. So this is telling them that this is something they want to do year after year. You're talking about getting repeat clients. It also speaks to the fact that childhood is fleeting, as we all know, and kids are changing every single year. And so you want to capture, this child. I photographed these brothers I photographed for several years now. And this one started out with super curly hair. And as he got older, it started kind of growing out and getting cut. And so every year he changed so much. So that's something that you want to show, that each year a child changes and you want to capture what they look like. I think it's also important to explain to people that this is not a single post school portrait. You're going to get a lot of variety. So usually when I'm marketing, I try not to show these straight on images that look super similar to school portraits. I try to show something a little more engaging. Maybe if I'm just showing a single image, I do something like this that's more artistic. It shows the thick eyelashes that little kids have. Or I show them kind of looking up more in my camera. Or I show them some of the slides that you guys have already seen, something with more emotion and personality. However, I also think that you can put a group of images together like this to show a parent that they're going to get a variety, they're going to get color, black and white, siblings, individuals, and it also kind of shows them what it would look like in a grouping. You could easily hang this as a collage on your walls. Speaking of hanging on your walls, I also feel like the black background, something very simple and timeless, looks great enlarged on canvases and on parents' walls. I know personally when I get my child's school portraits and they have that mottled bright blue background, or now they love having graphics over the front of the image, the date. That's not something that I want to hang on my walls in my home. In fact, I just file it right in my filing cabinet. So this is just, I think if you pose these right and market these correctly and show the black and whites, parents can see that this is something they would be proud to hang in their home. Also, you can think about offering these. Like I said, you can offer them any time of the year that you want to, but times that are great also is maybe before Mother's Day, before Father's Day, so that you can market them as gifts. They're also great late, like in the fall. I actually usually run mine in November. That's after my family sessions are starting to die down just a little bit. It's getting a little bit too cold for families outside. And I kind of catch all those last minute families who didn't get a family session booked. This really takes the pressure off of parents. They love these kind of sessions because they don't have to be in them. And of course, I see the value of family photography because I'm a family photographer and I want parents to be in it, but they may not want to do that every year. So this is just a great, a great opportunity for them. And I do actually receive many Christmas cards from clients with these images on the front. So just something to think about there. All right. And then, of course, when you're marketing, you want to believe in the value of the product that you're offering. So I have a little quote for you here that I'm going to read for you. You won't know it's the last time until it doesn't happen again. The last time they ask to be picked up. The last time they need help pouring their drink. The last time they ask to hold your hand or snuggle on the couch. Treat each moment like it's the last time. So I feel like this really speaks to the essence of these sessions. So I'll tell you a little story. This is actually my son, both of these pictures. This first one obviously was taken when he was 3 years old. I was just starting out doing school portraits. I had taken a course called Schooled with Elena S. Blair. She's still running that course. It's a high volume photography course for schools. And so I was doing a test shot in my garage, took this of my son. And then a couple years later, when I had been asked by people to do garage sessions, I remembered the pose and just had my son did another test shot of him again in the same pose. Look at these side by side. I mean, if this doesn't speak to the value of this type of photography, I don't know what is. His little chubby cheeks had thinned. He was wearing glasses. I feel like he aged about, 5 to 7 years here instead of 3. So just stacking the pictures year after year is amazing to see how much they've grown. Okay, we're nearing the end, guys. Thanks for hanging in there with me. I wanted to speak quickly to the variety that I offer. I said I, give 15 to 20 images. Something that I like to do when the child first walks up is just take a minute to look at them, really absorb what makes them unique. What is something that their parent probably loves? And I try to, in addition to all the classic shots that I do, try to get a few unexpected surprises for the parents in their gallery. So just to try to go over this quickly, this little girl had braces. She's a preteen. She had absolutely beautiful eyes. And so that was something that I wanted to focus on here. She had just adorable little curls in her ponytail. So I just asked her to turn sideways and I captured that. If kids have a jacket on, if they have something that zips, I will ask them to kind of, can you zip that? Can you, are you good at undoing buttons yet? I'll just talk to them a little bit and engage them with their clothing. I feel like this is just such a classic, an unexpected shot, but something that mothers see and watch. The little nose, the little lips, the glasses, something that you might not have in a picture and would just be really dear to a mother's heart. When kids talk to me and they, are really outgoing and they feel very important, I love to capture that I'm important face. This little boy was feeling extra shy and not very happy to have his picture taken. And so I snapped that and I kind of joked with the mom, wouldn't this be amazing when he's CEO someday to hang this large over his desk? This kid engaging with a pen in his pocket. She had her fingernails painted. Some of the cute little hairdos that parents do with girls, and quickly girls don't want their parents doing their hair anymore. And that preteen, just sweet classic face. Every kid does not need to be smiling or laughing. These pensive faces can also be really something special to capture. So that's just some ideas. Think about the variety that you can get. And this is actually what does feed your creative side and make this fun. Then quickly on siblings, some of the things that I try to do is make sure that kids' heads are close together. So in siblings, you can have really tall kids, shorter. So I do have a box that I can have them sit on, a crate, and I just put black fabric over it so that it just kind of blends into the background. This gets an older child's head quite a bit closer to a younger child's head. Here, this kid was quite a bit taller than his sister, so I just asked him to kneel down, and the sister was leaning against him. I ask kids to hug each other, to take turns kissing each other's cheeks. Sometimes kids get right into that. Others you'll have some resistance, but then you can capture those giggles and laughs and smiles. So I feel like this is just something very special with these portraits, something that parents don't get with school photos. So, parents very quickly fall in love with these kind of images. And that's it, guys. So what I want to end with is that you can do this too. I hope that I have given you some inspiration. I hope that I have opened your mind to feeling like this is possible for you. I feel like any photographer can do this and have fun with it. So make it work for your business. And I believe Karen said that she had a link that will be in the chat, but this is the resource that I spoke of with the equipment guide. If you just go to my website, shdphotography.com/photographer resources, you can download that guide. That's it. Let me click back over here.
There's a ton of questions.
Oh my God.
I know you've got somewhat limited time. So if you can't, as Stephanie mentioned, you guys, if she can't get to all the questions, you have her Instagram. So please feel free to reach out there as well. So I'll let you, as the pro here, go through and see what questions you think will get the most bang for the buck here.
Okay. Well, I'll just start at the top and see if I can I'll do 10 or 15 minutes, see what we can get through here.
Great.
So somebody said, great class. I really appreciate that, and asked if I could go over the sibling pricing again. So I do my siblings for $2.99. So that includes 5 minutes $2.99 for 2 children. So that includes 5 minutes for each child and an additional 5 minutes for the 2 children together. Someone was curious about my full session pricing. For a full family session, I charge $6.50. It's 1 hour. So yeah, you have to just think about what works for your business. Think about what's profitable for your business and how much you need to make in an hour. With these, you're having more communication with a variety of parents. So you're not just communicating with one person. So that's going to be additional time. You also want to get your setup working really well so that you have nice lighting and you're not spending a ton of time editing. I don't go in and edit anything too extreme. I just do I work in Lightroom. I just do basic edits. I batch edit. So you want to make that quick for you. Hopefully that answers that question. Am I an introvert? You know what? I really am. I actually practiced this talk several times. I've been super nervous about it. And so they ask, is volume photography draining? And how do I manage my energy? I think that's actually an amazing question. So I have a couple different thoughts on that. I do school photography, and at the end of doing these sessions and doing school photography, I'm absolutely exhausted. And the reason why is I think that you're really spending, time honing in through a little image finder, and trying to pull out the emotions and the engagement from children. And so it can be really tiring. I feel like I've run a half marathon when I'm done. And often I was actually at a school yesterday and I came home and took a 20-minute power nap just because I felt like I couldn't function. But working one-on-one with each kid is just really rewarding. I want to not lose my train of thought here. But so when you're working with schools, you usually will do one class at a time. So you'll kind of have kids all at the same age. What's awesome about that is you get your jokes that work for a 4-year-old, and it pretty much works for all 4-year-olds. With these, it can be a little more challenging in that 1 minute you're going to, 1 5-minute session, you might have a 5-year-old. The next 5-minute session, you might have a 12-year-old. And it does take different jokes and a different level of engagement to pull out some emotions there. So it's just something to practice, to work on. Yes, it's tiring, but it's also really fun. What do I say when a parent says, can I jump in for one? That's also a good question. That's a tricky one, but what I would say there is just communicate very clearly up front what these sessions are. And when I was saying about the parent emails, I think because I run it very professional, parents know what they're getting. And I just really have not had parents ask me if they can jump in because they know what these sessions are for. If you communicate ahead of time, if you always show your portfolio with just the children, say these are just kid sessions. If you're interested in a family session, I have a great offer for you with my outdoor family session. So you just have to kind of, and every photographer is different. Maybe one photographer would be okay with a parent jumping in, but I try to set the expectations up front. What time of year do you typically offer these sessions? Would it be wise to offer them on a quarterly or biannual basis? So what I've done so far is do them twice a year. I think very rarely do I have someone actually come to both of them, which is fine with me. But I feel like, families are really busy these days. Kids are super busy with hobbies. And so I like offering them twice a year so that if they miss one of them, they can attend the other. I usually do mine in spring and fall, which is also some of my busy time, but I'll try to kind of look at my schedule. If I have a school a couple schools in April and May, then I'll run this session in March. I'm actually going to be running a session in May because I've already finished up my schools for this year. And then in fall, I'll run it in November, like I said, when my family sessions have kind of died down and I've gotten that taken care of, then I can fill in November. But I can see that you could do it in the summer. You can run them any time of year. So it's just whatever works for your business. What backdrops are you using? So I kind of went over that in the webinar. There's a variety of things that you can use. You can use black felt. There's black photography backgrounds on Amazon. There's pop-ups. So if you check out my resources guide on my website that Karen provided the link for, you can see exactly the one that I use. It's very inexpensive. It's washable. It's large. I've been loving it. I limit mini sessions to new clients only as a way to keep people from only doing the minis and never investing in regular larger sessions. I'm curious how many of your mini session clients also invest in larger regular sessions. So I do kind of have a separate clientele for my family sessions. However, I do also have overlap. Like I said, I feel like the mini sessions are something different than the family sessions. That's why I don't let parents in the mini sessions. It just has the black background, which has a very different feel from the outdoor lifestyle photography. Let's see. So what was the exact question here? How many of your mini session clients also invest in larger? So it is different people, and that's fine. I feel like I get a lot more, I have fewer family sessions because they're priced higher. And then I have a lot more of the mini sessions. I get a lot of exposure through the schools that I work with. So there's some overlap, but not a lot. Do you ever use a backlight for hair? I have not used a backlight for hair. It is something that I have thought about, but I do just want to keep these as simple for myself as possible. So I use the bounce. Like I said, you could use a reflector. You absolutely could use a hair light if that's something that you're interested in doing. I've also used a charcoal gray paper backdrop, which helps give a little bit of separation also. So it's just whatever look you like and are going for. Do you track how clients find you? Do the portrait sessions come to you through Instagram? Do you require them to tag you? Let's see. So I don't necessarily track. I know a lot of people will just tell me how they found me. And it's really through word of mouth, mostly through the schools that I work with. But the more that I market these online, I have gotten more and more people coming to me through social media. And do I require them to tag you? It's the same with family sessions. I ask them to when I deliver the gallery through ShootProof. I deliver in the email. I say, please tag me and credit me. But people don't always do that. They're excited to show their pictures, and that's fine. And if friends are interested, they'll ask them, "Who did you go with?" And so your name gets out there eventually. I may have missed this. Will there be any ability to access these slides after the presentation? Yes, I think Karen said there will be an email sent out with a replay. Would you share what kind of jokes or questions you ask the children? Yeah, so a few fun ones. Well, one thing that I do that I have just been doing the last couple of sessions is when I send out my email to the parents ahead of time, I actually ask the parents if their child would want to prepare a joke for me. And this has worked really, really well. In fact, I get there the day of the session, I have my little spiel and my things that I do, and then the kids will be like, "Hey, did you want to hear my joke?" So I've actually even many times forgotten that I told them to bring a joke. But this has worked really great because kids can feel really on the spot, just like a grown-up does when they're in front of a camera. They start feeling self-conscious, they feel on the spot. But kids are really eager to make me laugh, and that also makes them laugh. So they'll bring their joke. They'll be very serious when they're telling it to me, and then they'll laugh along with me, and I can, snap pictures, and they just feel like it's such a fun session that way. So that's something I do to get the eyelash.
That's genius. I love that.
It really does take the pressure off of them, and they have so much fun. So that's probably one of my favorite ones, actually. To get the eyelash shots, I'll just ask them like, "Oh, can you see my shoes?" They look down at my shoes. I might ask them what color they are. I'll dance my feet around and say, "Oh, do you see them dancing?" And it's just long enough that they're looking down. I can just, get right there on the eyelashes. So there's a lot of different things that you can do. My biggest struggle for mini sessions has been generating interest and marketing and getting people to sign up. What are your suggestions and what has been your best advice and experience? So I feel like I kind of covered this in the webinar. I think the biggest thing is speaking to parents' pain points. That school photography really isn't enough, and that you really want to capture all those details. That maybe I have just heard that you don't want to bash big portrait photographers, big box photographers, but they're not always in focus. They're not always genuine smiles. So just talk about what you're offering, what you're giving. You provide authentic expressions, genuine happiness. Let's see. Let me focus back on that again. And how to market them, I guess, was basically. I think the next one was too. We'll definitely be covering marketing and promoting these sessions if you're in a new area. So I also just want to say that with any business, it takes time to build up your business. And don't expect the first time you market these that you're going to have 50 people signing up for it. Just be willing to build it over time, and word of mouth will spread. So when I started out, I don't know how many I had, maybe 10 kids show up to the first one, and that's fine. What you can do is when you're setting up your calendar, just kind of offer slightly less number of sessions than what you think you might sell. And then it gives that impression that, oh, these filled up quickly, right? And you can also gauge people's interest through stories on Instagram, with the little stickers where they say yes or no, like, do you know what garage, whatever you call them, fine art minis, better than school portraits, do you know what these are? Yes or no? Would you be interested in doing them? Yes or no? Would you rather them be in May or July? And just it gives you some feedback and lets you know what parents are interested in, how many parents are interested in it, and then just market your portfolio. Don't be afraid to show the same images over and over. I think that actually speaks to your brand when people start to become familiar with a particular image. It's like Target. Okay, Target's not going to change their logo every week. They want that same, it's Target, right? So it's not bad to show the same images over and over, and then just speak to different pain points, speak to different value, what makes these images valuable to parents. And then as far as being in a new area, get involved in mom groups, get involved in your church group, get involved in the school PTA, just getting active in the community, and telling people that you're a photographer. That always helps you start getting new clients without being pushy. Just let people know that this is what you do, and they'll be intrigued and want to follow you. Let's see. So different questions. So I do have another pretty fun prompt, which was, let me think about how it goes that works well for older kids. For younger kids, it's just super easy. Like asking them what they dressed up for Halloween, they just start smiling. What's their favorite dessert? What did they have for breakfast? And then I'll say, did you drink a big cup of coffee? And they're like, oh no, ha ha ha, I don't drink coffee. Kids can't have coffee. Right away, they start smiling. With my camera monkey, I'll say, I'll get it out and say, oh, I want to show you my friend. I'll say, don't tell me what he is. I think I know. And I put it on the camera, and then I'm like, oh, is he a Tyrannosaurus Rex? Oh no, kids love to correct you. So just making mistakes really gets kids having fun.
Something you spoke about also in the presentation was the model calls. Mm-hmm. And I think that I tried to do this with my daughters who are 9 and 13 a few months ago, mm-hmm. In my own garage. I just wanted pictures for myself. But something that I noticed was the difference between the 9-year-old and the 13-year-old, and, what made them have reactions that I wanted. Mm-hmm. So I think when people do model calls and are trying to learn, it's super important to have that variety of ages if you expect Absolutely. To be getting that variety of ages, because it's hard, especially those preteens. My 13-year-old,
They're tricky. They're really tricky. And one thing I have to say is every person's personality is different. Like someone asked me if I'm an introvert. I am, and I'm probably talking quickly on here, but I'm a pretty calm person. I don't want a ton of attention on myself. And you have to remember that every child is also different. Some kids are going to be super bubbly. Some are going to be really calm. Sometimes you really dig in and you're trying to tell jokes and they're just not going with it. And so that's also something that I let parents know when I'm marketing these, or let them know before, on the information page before they purchase, is that I'm trying to capture their personality. I'm not trying to force a personality on them. And so especially that preteen, just getting them looking, they don't have to be smiling. If you're using like a shallow depth of field and you're focusing on their eyes, it can be a beautiful portrait of them just looking at the camera. And that's what preteens do. They're not super laughy all the time, you know, they're trying to be cool, they're trying to be mature. And I think it's fine to capture that because that's the age that they are. So yeah, I think that's a great point, Karen, just practicing with the different ages. Um, do you allow time between each session to sanitize? Yeah, so it's, you know, the pandemic was an interesting one. These are outside, the child's facing outwards. I do wear a mask. I have the camera in front of my face. So I feel like there's enough protection there. But you got to do what you're comfortable with. You need to look at your state guidelines, what, you know, is required of you so that you can run a business. You can certainly put some minutes in between. Fortunately, I have all my kids stand, except for the few occasional ones where it's siblings and they might be sitting on a bench. So in general, they're not really touching anything. They're literally just walking up and standing there. So there's not too much that you have to like, I don't really have any surfaces that I have to wipe down because they're literally not touching anything. So just do what, you know, what the state's asking of you or the governor's recommending, and what you're comfortable with. Let's see, trying to understand this. So one solo, second solo, third slot is both siblings together. Only siblings would be just sibling shots. No,
I think that's actually answering another question from below. Yeah, I think we had some folks helping each other out in the questions.
Have I used other backdrop colors? I have not. You can look out there and there's tons of people that do. There's, you know, Savage, I think, is one of the paper companies that has all kinds of colors of paper. You can practice with what you want, what you like. I really like black. And I also have used the dark charcoal gray. I think it's called the Thunder Gray, maybe. I just like something that's very simple and I feel like would look good on the walls of someone's home. You know, I feel like cotton candy pink or a light blue, they're really cute. And some people, that might be the style that they want. But for me and my business, I just like something that looks really classic and something that someone would want to hang on their walls.
How far how far away from the backdrop do you typically have them stand so that you can get that separation and still have it look truly black?
That was something I was actually going to mention, and I think I forgot in the setup portion. So I will again kind of tout the backdrop that I've started using recently that I have in my equipment guide. I would tell you guys, but like I can never remember exactly the name of it, but you can find it on Amazon. I love it because it is very black. You can wash it, dry it, and it comes out with some wrinkles, but it just seems to go black, which is awesome. So I do have kids stand about probably 2 to 3 feet. I see people sometimes put them closer to the backdrop. I pull them out even more. You want them really getting, the closer they are to the light, the softer the light is going to kind of wrap around them and just be pretty. And then if you pull them away from the backdrop, that allows the backdrop just to fade to black. You don't see the wrinkles, you don't see lint. So if you're having trouble with that, the angle of your backdrop can also just make a difference. How the light is kind of caressing the backdrop, and then also pulling the kids away from the backdrop allows that black to really be a solid black. And you can lower your blacks in post-processing also. So just something to play around with. Let's see, what happens if a storm rolls in? I live in Seattle, so I mean, we get lots of rain. It's annoying. And yeah, I mean, you can choose to do these when you're having great weather. Obviously, less great weather is going to be probably more of your slow season, and I have done it. I've done it in really cold weather. I've been worried and like tried to set up heaters in my garage, and I've just found that kids are only standing there for a very short time, 5 minutes. And parents are really more the picky ones about weather and their hair. They're totally fine with their kids being cold. So if a storm rolls in, I've done it in light rain. It's not the most fun, but I've also just been pretty lucky. You could have a backup date that you just tell everybody you have to be available on this backup date if you're going to book a session. So if that's something that you're worried about. But that is kind of the pain of mini sessions. Let's see. Do you offer prints as well? Like I said, no, I don't do prints at this time. I just want to keep it simple for myself, so I sell the digitals only. But certainly you could do that. And the parents could pay for shipping. Yep. I would love to know how you come up with 15 to 20 unique images. So that slide that I showed where it had the variety of kids, I do a lot of that for almost every child. You know, I'll try to capture their hair, or I'll try to capture them zipping their clothing. I'll point them this direction and looking, point them to this direction and looking. I kind of go above, I go below, I have them look up into the camera. It's actually really easy. And, you know, you can spend a lot of time culling. And so I've just chosen not to do that. I've chosen to, if I think it's a cute image, if it makes me, I mean, when I'm editing these, I'm like smiling the whole time looking at kids' faces. It's like I'm there again with them and I'm just smiling. So any image that makes you smile, so it's pretty easy actually to get 15 to 20, I feel like.
Do you give black and white and color versions of each image, or do you select which ones to make black and white?
I just do the whole thing because I feel like it's easy. You can do an action, batch edit, the black and whites. And, you know, inevitably, if you choose the black and whites, then you're going to have a parent say, oh, we can have this other one.
Yes,
so
yeah.
It's easier just to do it all and be done.
So if it's a 20 image gallery, then it's really 10 unique images. Half are black and white and half are color.
Actually, no. I do 15 to 20
unique images.
Yep. And
oh wow! Okay.
Yeah, and so they'll get 30 to 40 images per kid.
Wow. Okay.
So I just do a lot. I feel like I shoot fast. I batch edit. You know, I'm not going in. Like I said, their faces are clean, so I'm not going in editing everything. And I just feel like it's easy to get variety. And it's a mini session. I mean, like I said, some people maybe only sell 3 to 5 images for a mini session, but I feel like at the price point that I have for me in my business, I want them to feel that there's a value, that they have a lot of pictures to pick from. And that I've just found, like, when I go back and look at the ones that I've done of my own kids a year or two later, how much they've changed. And even from just different angles, you know, straight on is one thing, and then you see them slightly from the side and you're like, oh my gosh, you know, their nose has changed or their cheeks have changed. So every angle really does capture something different, you know. So.
And I think it's important, like I've heard you say, I lost count how many times I've heard you say, like, this is what works for your business. So I think, you know, people who have questions about that just need to maybe know your own cost of doing business. At what point are you profitable, and what work or how much time, you know, you mentioned you do batch editing. So, you know,
exactly.
That's what works for you. So everybody's business is going to be unique. And I know some people like rely on, you know, selling prints and products after to upsell in order to reach that number. So like you said, it's just whatever you're comfortable with. In your business.
I mean, 2 things to think about that take time are culling and editing, right? So you could say, oh, I'm only going to give 3 to 5 images and then I have less to edit, which is totally true. Or you can say, I'm going to spend less time culling and give more images if you can batch edit. So that's just something that, for me, I was spending a lot of time initially trying to get my galleries lower, trying to give them less images. And I was spending more time culling that way because I was like, oh gosh, I mean, my heart's invested in it. And I'm like, which one of these pictures will the mom like better, or the dad like better, or the grandma like better? And I just found it's better for me just to say, if it's good, I'm giving it to them. I already have it. I'm going to batch edit it. You know, 10 more images doesn't take me hardly any longer. So the time invested is already there. So
that makes sense.
Yeah. And whatever works for your business. Like I said, these can be done in so many different ways. Client management system do you use for signups and invoicing? So, so obviously I use ShootProof to deliver all of my galleries. For signups and invoicing, I have Squarespace for my website, and you can use Acuity to connect with Squarespace and set up all of your slots. You can have a questionnaire. You can have them pay that way. I was really scrappy for a long time and kind of controlling and wanted to help people get the time slots that they wanted. So I did a lot of it more manually and not as efficiently as I could. So I'm getting more into all of the systems and trying to be more efficient with that in my communication. But I would recommend definitely looking into Acuity, especially if you have Squarespace, since they work together. And then obviously ShootProof to deliver your galleries. Do you have an assistant help you manage the flow of people? 5-minute sessions back to back seems hard to keep everyone organized. Actually, it's really easy. So schools is something different. I do have an assistant for schools. But for these, I at first was worried about it, and I was like asking my husband, can you just be on hand just in case? And I never used him. People are coming and going, and if you have them just come 5 minutes ahead, then you're shooting with someone, and then that person leaves and the next person's there. It just flows actually really smoothly, and I'm probably not shooting the whole 5 minutes. And I also do explain that because these are back to back, a lot of times it'll be people that have come year after year, and I've become friends with them, I know them, and I just say, I'm in my email ahead of time, I'm sorry, my sessions are back to back, I don't have a lot of time for chit chatting. It's going to be formal, let's get it done, and I can talk with you over coffee or a glass of wine another time. So if you just set that expectation up front, people are on it. I mean, I've been super happy with all the families that I've worked with. They've just been awesome. So but of course you can add an extra 5 minutes in. I do I don't know. It's nothing formal. If you have people sign up, you're going to have little gaps in your schedule probably. Or if I schedule them, I'll put in a little gap here and there for me. Just if I have a shy kid, it gives me a couple extra minutes. So yeah, you can put breaks in there. Someone giving my Instagram handle, I appreciate that. SHG Photo. Love for you guys to follow me so we can keep in touch.
Sorry, I was going to say, I think we've got time for good that you mentioned that, because if you do have like a really important question that you really want to have the answer to, Stephanie has said that you can reach out to her there too. So if you do, you guys have tons of questions. I wish we could stay all day, but if you don't get it answered, please don't hesitate to reach out.
I was having so much fun. I wasn't even looking at the time. So yeah,
that's okay.
I can answer just 2 more questions here.
Yeah, that sounds good.
It says, do you do full body shots or just upper body? I just do generally upper body. Little kids, their body fits in the frame a little bit more. So I might get, lower weight, like thigh and up. But I tell parents, it does not matter what shoes they're wearing. I don't do full body because I don't want to have to edit the floor. The backdrop can get dirty. So I try to keep it that upper half. And then I guess last question is tripod or handheld. I do not use a tripod. And that's part of getting the 15 to 20 unique images is I kind of go above the kid, I go below the kid, and all those different angles really, I have parents tell me, oh my gosh, my kid looks 5 years older in the picture. And it's because I kind of just very slightly shot up, and it makes them look much more mature. And if you shoot down on them, they look naive and just like asking those questions, they'll look up in your camera and have that more innocent look. So I love being able to move around and get different angles, and that really helps with the variety of pictures that you get. So yeah, if you have additional questions, obviously I'm happy to answer. So please reach out to me. I'm happy to help you guys out and follow you back, and please let me know how sessions go for you guys.
So with that, we'll wrap it up. Thank you so much for coming. This was awesome.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for the interest. I'm so glad that so many people were interested in the topic, and I hope that lots of people try it and have fun with it.
All right. Well, thank you again so much, and hope to see the rest of you in a future webinar. I hope everyone has a great weekend, and we'll see you soon.
All right. Bye, guys. Thank you.